Hi, everyone. This is Kathy Mason from Mason Works Marketing, and you're in for a treat today because I'm here with Dr. Manny. And I want to call you just Dr. Manny because that's what I like. But anyway, it's Dr. Manny St. Victor. And Dr. Manny is a physician, a mindset coach, and a best-selling author. And he is an amazing, amazing wit. And he
Thank you.
he, yes, you are. You have an incredible sense of humor. I love it, love it, love it. He wrote a book, and he still, I think, publishes books with. I've done more than one volume of thinking about quitting medicine, and he's also a host of a TV show, and I think you have a podcast too.
Yeah, the
So,
podcast is coming slower. Yeah.
yeah. But anyway, so Dr. Manny has a unique way of looking at life that is so delightful and so conscious that that's why I wanted to introduce him to all of you. So Dr. Manny, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on, Kathy. I appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure. I can't wait to learn more from you. I love what you do. I love it.
Thank you.
So how did you start your journey? First of all, tell us a little bit about the book first.
Okay.
How did you get the idea to do a book like this?
The idea came from pain, really, because I had resigned from my psychiatry residency in 2008, and I to join a virtual world startup to build virtual worlds in the hopes of applying some of the psychiatry and psychology that I know towards helping everyone become more aware, more conscious, and get more joy and fulfillment out of whatever it is they choose to do.
Uh-huh.
Well, that's not how internet startups work. And plus, the
No.
company burned through 4 million in 6 months, and
Wow.
laid us all off after I'd moved from Miami to Atlanta. So I went on and got some more jobs in the video game industry. I've been programming software since I was a kid, so I kind of don't see the difference between uh, psychiatry, hypnosis, and software engineering because our
Oh,
unconscious mind is like a big Bayesian computer. So increasingly, when I was working with these companies, I would buy into the narrative, sort of. To the extent that they were paying me wads of money to make addictive games, I was like, sure, yeah, I believe that. You know, but sure, I buy what you're saying. But more and more, I wanted to do something more. And part of what I wanted to do was to show physicians that there are other things that you can do out here and be successful and create a meaningful life with your skills without necessarily being stuck in the architecture of medicine. Uh, Now, that came to expand because as word spread of the book, uh, I'm grateful for that. As word spread for the book, I started to attract clients across the realm from not just physicians, lawyers, entrepreneurs, entertainers, just folks who uh, had made it, so called, as far as an ego based perception works. They built up this entire architecture and worked their way up social class, social rank, revenue, possessions. But there was this emptiness, this hollowness, which made everything they owned felt more like it owned them, like they were chasing something that they couldn't quite reach.
right,
Which
right.
now I know is, that's how ego works. The more energy you put into ego, this is Eckhart Tolle's work. The more energy you have in ego, and that you're unaware of, conditioned mind, the less you have available to be conscious, present, true, and authentic. So I wanted to get that, and still want to get that message out. But the key thing about it that kept me from pursuing consciousness was that I didn't want to stop being me. And I guess that's also part of ego, where there were aspects of my personality that were probably pretty a-hole-ish, that I wasn't ready to let go yet.
Well,
But
it's a journey, right? I
yeah,
mean,
yeah. I was like, I have to stop
and
doing
then
that.
you're gone.
Yeah. But turns out you don't have to stop doing the things that you love. Really, what happens is the things that you love doing shift. And it was that simple pivot, that it was like, well, there's certain things that you may do now that it's the person with whom you're doing it that doesn't appreciate it. So take that light somewhere else. Take actually, ironically, take that shadow to that person's perception somewhere else to where it's valued. Took on the mantra of "Go where you feel beautiful." I
Oh,
tell my clients that as well.
say
Yeah,
it again. Say it again.
go where you feel beautiful. I mean,
Yeah.
your inner compass knows if you're around someone and you're doing your best and it's not being valued and appreciated, then
Oh.
you need to reevaluate a combination of how you're signaling, if the signal is true to you, and if the signal is in the right context. Um, and with me, I've always loved jokes. The more twisted, the better. Jokes and puzzles. You know, so and what I found is that jokes take a certain amount of trust, as does hypnosis, which is a large part of what I do with my own coaching business. Just for someone to let you drop them into their own unconscious, they have to know that you have their best interest in mind.
Yeah,
Um,
Dina just wrote, "Go where you feel beautiful." So she
yes, ma'am.
doctored it for us. Thanks, Dina. Thanks, Karen.
Thanks, Dana. Yeah, and it's a journey because initially you're born into and raised into what I like to think of as your tribe of origin. And then if you look at Jungian work and even Joseph Campbell's hero's journey,
Right,
there's a
right.
process of feeling this pain and then realizing that in order to relieve this pain, you got to leave your current tribe because the way you're signaling, the way you're honest signaling, doesn't resonate with your tribe, and it's an indicator that it's time to go from being a tribe member to a journey of individuation. I think it was Jung also who said, either Jung or Campbell. It was Campbell who said we must each enter the forest where it's darkest.
Right.
Like if I'm following you into your darkness, then you're the one that's going to get eaten by the bears, and I'm going to take off running back to the tribe. But when I'm going blind on the courage of my conviction into my own darkness, that's when I can return to the village as a light and say, hey, I went out here. Look, I'm not dead. I'm scarred, but I'm also a deeper person and I have more truth. And I also have more compassion for those who have a
Right.
curiosity about that specific lane in reality.
Well,
So,
I want to interject that Dr. Manny is Harvard educated, so this wit comes from a highly intelligent being who helps you see
thank you.
the humor. Well, yeah, I mean, you see the humor in a way that is not making fun of, but making fun of a person or scarring you. It's really a way to uplift people to make them go, maybe I
Yeah.
should look at
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. And there are several forms of ego defense. And one of the most effective ones, one of the more mature ones, I don't even like the word mature because it has sort of a latent value signal to it. But one of the more effective ones is humor because it causes a contextual shift. And that shift in context means you got to pull up some new beliefs. And if you're laughing, it either one of two things. You're either uh, laughing maniacal, I'm about to die because I'm in the wrong tribe and they're all laughing and my laugh is a laugh of fear, or you're laughing because you feel comfortable, you got the melatonin, you got the oxytocin, and you're relaxing. Now when I was in psychiatry, I didn't feel like I was able to be as effective with jokes and laughter because by and large a person brought into an inpatient psych unit doesn't super trust you because they're wondering how many months you're going to give them upstate, you know.
Right, right. Well, did you ever see the Bob Newhart clip? Stop it
Oh yeah,
on
yeah, yeah. Someone shared that with me. Yeah, it wasn't. You weren't the one that shared it with me. Who shared that with me?
it might have been me.
Yeah,
I love that thing.
yeah, yeah.
So I want to tell you, Elsie Ritzenheim, who's a friend, said that she's a creativity expert,
Hmm.
and she says that she's loving it because it leads to your personal self and your creativity.
Exactly, exactly. And really, that's the core of meaning making. One of the things that was happening to me during psychiatry training was what we focus on expands, uh, and there was a lot of focusing on pathology and a
Uh-huh.
lot of focusing on toxic people. So a lot of my energy was around recognizing, when you're seeing 10, 15 people within an hour, who all have their own pathology, your inner mental models of what the world is made of goes a certain way.
Labels.
Yeah, yeah, these rapid reactive labels. And what I found was I was spending so many hours at the hospital that by the time I got home, the conditioned mind, the ego, was rapidly defaulting to labeling even loved ones and friends and new people I was meeting with this habitual categorization system. Anytime someone was under some sort of stress, my brain was already in confirmation bias mode where it's like, oh, you showed two signs of borderline personality disorder. So this, ego keeps us separate. I was missing out on opportunities for deep relationships and even missing out on curiosity and interest because I already started projecting what I believed you to be onto you, and it gave me a sense of power. It gave me a little bit of a boost because now suddenly this person was slightly devalued and I felt safe in my doctor role. But it was an empty way to go through life for me, and it felt inauthentic. And the more I was digging into the literature underneath the psychiatry, because I was also into a lot of the persuasion psychology and also the hypnosis, the more I came to realize that a lot of what the change that we do is unconscious change based on the intention to affiliate, basically love. And I was like, okay, all this science to find out that it takes love and kindness. That's fantastic. Plus, I still owe hella student loans.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I was like,
that's
that's
the whole thing we're
yeah,
doing here is everything's motivated by fear or love.
yeah,
Everything is.
everything. And
Everything. But you don't have to have Latin names to
yeah, yeah. And the more I would try to put people into these boxes so as to make myself feel more certain and more like I knew, the more I was establishing this dynamic where they would reactively be less honest, less open, less
Oh no.
authentic, you know? And even, my buddies would joke a little differently with me because, they knew we have our issues, you know, and no one wants to think that their friend is looking at them through this lens and going through a decision tree to eventually label them in some deprecating way. So,
Well, so Manny, how did you get through this to use it in coaching? Because I mean, you got this aha that love, love and kindness is the way to go, and that supporting people from that level. I mean, you and I met because of another being that we both work with that's
yeah.
totally dedicated to love and kindness,
Yep.
and
Can we
and
say his name?
huh?
Are we allowed to say his name?
Yeah, sure. You want it?
Yeah, it's
You want to
Kellen
butcher his
Sugar.
last name?
I didn't want people to be like, it's not Voldemort. So we can say dude's name. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. We met through Kellen. Yeah.
Ellen. Yeah, but I'm always afraid to mess up his last name.
Oh yeah.
So
No, I've been practicing saying it just for that reason. I'm like, I can't be on stage and like give him his credit, and he'd be like, "That's not how you say
that's
it."
not even close, and that sounds dirty. Anyway,
Right, right. You leave the L out, and everything goes bad. you know. But yeah, yeah. So the main thing was, I had the aha through pain. Like Eckhart says in his book, The Power of Now. You get to a certain point where the stories hurt so much that you're like, I'm gonna let these go. And
yeah,
it couldn't possibly be worse than this. Like a lot of when I've had businesses succeed in the past, where when you're bound by ego, even as your business is succeeding, there's this constant fear because you feel as if you attract who you are. So I was attracting judgy, status and visibility based people. High visibility, a lot of internet marketing, a lot of VIP events, a lot of showing up at places, and I always had this chronic anxiety, and I was managing the anxiety by controlling people and environments. You
right,
know, as long as
right,
my team was performing a certain way, as long as I was able to keep a certain image on the internet, as long as I could bludgeon trolls into submission on social media in the comment stream with psychological battery or whatever, it was all good. But
right.
everything that I owned felt sort of meaningless because, in addition to that, there's this certain behavior set that goes with an ego-based lifestyle where I'm buying things not necessarily because I love them, but because it's showing you I have things that you can't afford yet. Or I'm
Yeah,
keeping up with the Joneses who I'm
Yeah.
worried might love me less because I'm acting differently from
I
the
I
status
kind
quo.
of called that a costume because it
Yeah,
feels like when I had a clothing store for 16 years that it was $1 million store in Boulder.
yeah,
And it felt like, showtime, got to put on the ego costume or whatever you want to call it, that personality
yeah,
and go to work.
yeah,
And and then you could take it off maybe later if you were lucky, if you're around in a safe space.
yeah,
But the fear of any of that until you break through it is that you'll be seen, the real you, the fake you will be revealed.
yeah, yeah.
There's that's part of the anxiety, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah. And then like my anxiety go through the roof. There was the worst feeling is a loneliness in public, that gets amplified. The more people that would want to be close to me, the lonelier I felt because it just took all this energy to hold up this mask of who I perceived them to be attracted to.
Right.
It meant,
Right.
oh, I gotta make sure I'm throwing a reciprocal dinner party. I've been invited to 3 dinner parties. I got invited to this charity event. Oh man, it's do I need to be creating a 501(c)(3) soon? And what
Yeah.
network event do I need to get this guy in because he got me a seat close to the governor? I'm like, I hate all of this. And a lot of times I'll be like, yo, can I tell this joke? And the way my impulse control is set up, a lot of times I think, should I tell this joke right after I told it? you know and so I wanted to be able to be like, I want people to invite me to places who know how I am and how ultimately it will be when they introduce me to someone. They'll be like, that's Manny. At some point he gonna curse in your general direction. It'll be funny, but it will be a curse word, and it will be
but
usually a compound curse word.
but it'll break the ice and it'll
Yeah,
make a whole lot of difference. That's
yeah, yeah. Because by the time your brain is focused on the pattern interrupt, we've had a conversation about the truth. Because by the time you come back to your senses, either ice is broken or you're offended enough so that I know that we're not going to get around ego. You know what I mean? Uh,
yeah, either the ice is broken or you're offended enough. I
yeah,
love that.
yeah. Either way, it's a win-win. Because by and large, what I found is if someone has an unconscious dislike for you, they got the little timer going until you say something that they decide is the reason that they can externalize that dislike.
uh,
And so I just come out the gates. I'm like, hey, this is me, and they're
Give
like,
it
oh,
to him.
oh my god, you know.
Oh
And
God, that's funny.
honestly, if you're gonna dislike me eventually
And
anyway,
arm
because they don't
them.
like this.
You unarm them right away, right?
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
wow, that's great. Well, how does the hypnosis work? I'm going to go back to your coaching because I want
yeah,
to make sure that everyone knows about it
yeah.
because you are just amazingly talented,
Thank you.
this isn't the standard. It's a much more conscious way to do coaching than other people use. But how do you use the hypnosis? I mean, after you start coaching somebody and help them, you basically mirror the love that they are back to them, right?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's very
That
good.
that's always the first step. You
Yeah,
gotta, because hypnosis works on a subconscious level, basically mirror neurons, vagal nerve. Just it's true attunement. It's a willingness to be open enough to receive what someone is saying so that you can reflect it, but reflect it without a filter of judgment so they don't
right.
sense a contempt. Now, what happens inevitably after that is if someone sees that you're speaking, what you're reflecting is not uh, a distortion of their truth, a person who is ready to see their truth will hear what you're saying. Now, there's other layers where, with the actual hypnotic induction and stuff, we drop someone down from beta waves. You have beta 2 waves when you're scared, beta 1 waves when your eyes are open, and you have alpha waves when you close your eyes, and then there's delta and theta, and there's lower um, frequencies. Basically, I like to think of them as frequencies, brain frequencies,
Right.
where we slow your brain down enough when you know you're safe. That oxytocin bath, that feeling of safety, that feeling of truth, that feeling that what you're getting back from me is going to be actionable. Now,
Uh-huh.
when I drop you into that state subconsciously, from there, what I found is, first of all, a lot of people, we run around so much, we forget what it was like to truly, fully, physically and mentally relax. So I drop you into the full relaxation, and that's delicious,
Yeah.
And there's something about deliciousness that makes everything else that comes after that receptive. It's like, oh, that was fantastic. I mean, if he does something bad, at least it was, the area under the curve was okay. You got some good, got
Oh,
some bad out of it. But then within that space of receptiveness and rapport, what we're able to do is in that safe space, we're able to. I use a lot of past regression where we go into prior memories because now that you're relaxed and we've moved your conscious mind out of the way, your judging conscious ego and all that. Memories that you didn't believe you had access to come forward, and we immerse you in that memory.
ah,
Now, once you're in that memory, you realize that since it's a memory and it's your mind, you can change it. You can change the feeling associated with it, which allows it to now be empowering instead of a memory that pops up and startles you. So, we do a lot of work with a lot of mental illness, and a lot of suffering is based on, again, ego, conditioned mind. And the conditioning lives in these schema, these internal mental models, core beliefs that we hold deep that affect our values and keep us from getting our needs met.
ah,
So
okay,
with the hypnosis, once you're in that deep relaxation, that deep presence, that super focus on one idea, we pull the idea into the present because the present is the only place you can make a change.
right.
And we reshape that idea so that in your unconscious, we reprogram that piece. Now,
What?
what happens then is when you walk out of the session, your instincts are different and you feel more capable, less fear, less. A lot of times we can eliminate impulsivity that is triggered by the fear, because a lot of times with fear, um, fear triggers immediate shame, because especially in our toxic masculinity culture, you're like, well, I'm not masculine enough, I'm afraid, let me be aggressive.
Oh, geez. Yeah,
When we're choosing between fight and flight in our culture, those of us who have had a lot of success uh, in a fight flight situation, we confuse aggression for assertiveness,
right, right. Yeah,
which is not a very conscious way of being. So
yeah,
with the hypnosis, we go in, we eliminate some fear, some subconscious fears that you're not able to face by bringing you into that safe space. When you bring the memory up, you're like, yeah, it's scary, but the scary becomes more of a word than a feeling. And so it's like, oh yeah, no, that's scary.
so Dina said you're speaking my language,
That's
and
awesome.
Zach's listening, and he hasn't said anything yet, but he will probably put a zinger in here any moment.
Yo, sure, sure. I'm looking
Welcome it,
forward to
Zach.
Zach Zingers. That's alliteration. I love alliteration.
He's really, really intelligent too.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so what happens is before the hypnosis, I came up with a program. I call it Heal, Grow, Thrive. It's a 12-week program.
Uh-huh.
And I was taking my clients through it. It begins with breathing. It involves core values. It's the standard program that we use with cognitive behavioral therapy and stuff. But
Uh-huh.
one of the problems I've had several bouts of abysmal depression, like depression that has cost me entire businesses because I just did not care, because I couldn't feel anything. So one of the problems I had, one of my main dissatisfactions with most of the approaches that I was meeting, was that I would walk out of each session still in pain, with
Right.
the promise that one day a pain, a joy, a fulfillment that I couldn't even remember ever having felt would reemerge.
Wow.
With hypnosis, because we're dropping the conscious mind and all the negative self-talk and everything that's causing that pain in the moment, we get immediate relief and immediate memory of what it felt like to feel calm and good.
Wonderful.
So you get a dose of that, and now you can't say you don't remember it. And anything we can remember, we can believe.
But it's not remembered with a charge. That's what you're saying. It's not a
Yeah,
trigger anymore.
yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Right. You still have the memory, so I could remember something that happened in my family at 2, but I don't have fear from it
yeah,
or
yeah. You
anxiety.
own the memory. The memory doesn't
Right.
own you.
Right. That's cool.
Yeah.
So does it take a long time to go through all of the stuff?
Now, I do that in 90 minutes, man. I mean, there is no time. Time is a conscious construct.
That's true.
Time is an ego bound construct.
That's
Time
true.
is something we use for our narratives in the story that we're telling ourselves all the time. And
Right.
it's part of the conditioned mind. It's like, it should take this amount of work before I deserve to feel better. Nah, let's knock you unconscious, breathe, and sleep. and, and, and then it's like on the other side, you come up, you're like, huh? I don't know if that worked until the cues fire and you feel super Manchurian Candidate. You know,
Oh my gosh.
I'm just joking about that kind of,
Someone
but
has seen that movie to know what you're talking about. That Manchurian Candidate was a movie that was produced, and it was about where people had been subconsciously trained and they were triggered by a phone call or by some action, and they would do horrendous acts.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah,
So we do it on the positive side. But you think about it, if you have this trigger, if there's something that happens to you right now on an unconscious level that allows you to lose control, lose your sense of time. Either, as Eckhart Tolle says, trapped. Eckhart, I call him Eckhart Tolle, but it's Eckhart Tolle. But
yeah,
Tolle
that's
sounds more
okay.
like it sounds more like candy, and so it makes me enjoy his voice. Yeah. So he likes to say, "You are trapped in time." If you're caught in the past, which is what a trauma memory triggering does, or anxiety can cause you to be caught in the future because you're imagining a catastrophic outcome. If we
Right.
can get you to stay present, and all it takes to stay present is recognizing, oh, this is a memory. And trauma memories don't get remembered as memories. They get remembered in a way that you feel like it's happening now. And so you have a disproportionate reaction that knocks you unconscious in the moment. So if I can get you to stay present and stay conscious in the moment, then you can be like, oh, that memory is coming up. This situation is not that. This situation reminds me of that. And it's a split-second difference that allows presence because now you don't have to leave the situation. It's not a life or death situation like the
Right, you're not
primary.
automatically,
Yeah,
spontaneously going off and you don't even know why.
yeah, yeah,
Right. Oh,
yeah,
that's fantastic.
yeah.
But what I meant to ask, which I didn't answer very well, was so if do you usually when you do these hypnosis programs, do you do one memory at a time in 90 minutes, or do you do multiple storylines?
Well,
Like if there was a like abandonment
yeah.
issue, would you search for just one, or would you try to find
Now,
more?
now I pop across 3 or 4.
Oh,
What I
wow.
do right now, the program that is getting the best response is what I call a hard reset. It's a 3 session program where
Uh-huh.
we go in and we do a deep drop, and then we do a past life regression to prior life events. Uh, and so your unconscious will go to one prior event, and then we'll do the work of reclaiming the energy around that so it's no longer an unconscious wound. We'll give you control of that, and then we pop you right over to a second event, and we cleanse that. We reclaim that energy, then we pop you over to a third event. Now, once we've cleansed those three, uh, it's one or two options. Either we do a future progression so that we can see, based off the fact that we've released those three limiting beliefs that were kind of held in place by fear, we project you into a future life, which is now what do you believe you're capable of with confidence.
Oh, wow.
Now, what that allows you to do now is to feel that future vision as you may have been afraid to imagine it because of the negative self talk, the self doubt, and all the stuff that was pulling energy away from your visual cortex before. This is
Interesting.
literal energy we're managing. And then from there, um, we do 2 more sessions where we either do more of clarifying that future vision so that you can now be pulled forward into your vision instead of pushed away by fear.
That sounds
you know
excellent.
and then we just watch how it evolves in life. And the third session, by then, we're looking at dealing with new emotions that may come up. And one of the things is that when you develop the ability to manage limiting beliefs, your
Mhm.
memory suddenly opens up and other memories come up. So but now you have the skill, so you turn them down. But by the third session, it gets to where we're addressing other stuff that's coming up as you're thriving, which is awesome.
Wonderful.
It's new beliefs that you've never. This is your space of discomfort that is no longer knocking you into a state of disempowerment.
And this is what Elsie calls the possibility space in her creativity
Yes,
training.
yes,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. Excellent. Great. Well, Dr. Manny, how can people get a hold of you and learn more um, about possibly working with you, either with coaching or with hypnosis,
Yep.
or both, or
Yep.
both?
You can join me on MannySaintVictorMD.com.
Okay.
And it's ManiSaintVictor MD.com. or on Facebook, you can find the hashtag Asylum Awaits, because I go under the Dr. Manny's Asylum is where I unleash all insanity.
And that's where the best jokes, I mean, honestly, and some of the best posts, oh my
Thank
gosh,
you. Yeah,
you're
that's where
really
mayhem ensues.
brilliant.
Thank
It's
you.
brilliant, you guys. You'll just go, oh, I can't believe he just posted.
But I understand why. Yeah. And
But I liked it.
yeah. And if you go to asylumawaits.com, I have a 7-day free program. It's because all work begins with centering. I have a breathing based centering program. I call it Inspiration Breathing Made Meaningful. So if you'd like a taste of my calmer personality, because working one on one, I mean, you know, I'm a very math based type of person, mental model based person. So my goal is always to see what level of arousal actually resonates with you. I'm not going to try to keep you wired if that's not your comfort zone. If you have more of a, I mean, I do have psychiatric training, so we're gonna work where you need to be. But
Right, right.
so asylumawaits.com is a good way to get introduced to sort of my deeper beliefs around the power of breathing, recentering, and becoming more conscious through deliberate breathing as a tool for state change.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what I'll do, I'm afraid we need to go,
Okay.
but wrap it up. But what I'll do is I'll put all of these links in the comments after this, so that you can, everyone that wants to connect with Dr. Manny can. And
Thank you.
I thank you so much. Here, oh,
I'm honored to have this
Tina did it
conversation with
for
you.
us. Here, hold on a sec. There we go. She found it already.
Thank you, Dina.
Hey, thank you, Dina. Thank you. I thank you so much, Manny, and I
My
hope to
pleasure.
see you soon. I hope we get to be in another project together. It would
I'm
be
looking forward to
really
it. Count
good.
on it. You
Yeah,
know, as Kellen would say, I will. And you
I
know,
will.
will means we will create it.
Oh, and Dina said, "Thank you. This is great. This was great."
Thank you, Dina.
So yeah, and these people that are on are wonderful people, and I'm sure a lot more people will enjoy this conversation. Thank you so much. Yeah,
Thank you so
Elsie
much for
said
having me.
thank you too. So yeah, well, thank you, Dr. Manny.
It was
It's
my
hard to
pleasure.
say Dr. Manny. Manny.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who's that?
Right. My mom is like, Doctor, what? Come on now.
There we go. Dina's getting an A+ today. Thank you
Awesome.
so much.
Thank
A
you,
lot of
Dina.
help here. Thank you guys. Okay, well, we need to roll because I'm afraid I got another appointment right after this, so I'm gonna have to go. But
Awesome. Thank you,
thank you
Kathy.
so much, and I'll have this all shared around. So hopefully people will get to experience you, and I hope this brings you a lot of wonderful work.
Awesome. Thank you. I very much appreciate it.
We need you.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Take care. Bye bye.
Uh-huh. Bye-bye.